Welcome back to the Numbers People Live, and thank you so much for the feedback you've given me so far. I hope you're getting value from it, and hopefully your week's been good this week. We've heard some really good stories, really positive stories of people getting jobs in good companies, good opportunities, and it's always great to hear. And a quick market update for you. The market is still patchy at best, but there are opportunities out there. So we've just got to keep on being positive and optimistic, and it's not as bad as the doom and gloom you see on the press every day. Yeah, look, the feedback, again, a lot of you are changing your resumes, which is good. I've still not seen anyone do a video intro on their CV. If you do it, I'm telling you, it's a huge differentiator. So please, can someone send me the resume with an intro video? But today is about recruiters. But before we go on, if you have any questions, I'm happy to answer them as we go along, or put them in the comments, and I will. I'll get back to you. I'll give you the honest truth. I mean, I pride myself on being an honest, no BS recruiter. I'll tell you what really goes on in the recruitment world and how it is out there. And yeah, to recap, look, we kicked off on the resume, improving your CV, your LinkedIn. We talked about the application trap and applying directly to companies, figuring out who the boss was. We talked about what CFOs are really looking for when they're interviewing you. That goes for CEOs as well, if you're a CFO watching this. And we talked about the how to survive the 6-stage interview. I mean, it is crazy that we're going to go through this many interviews these days. But look, hopefully the tips I gave you last week will help you. And this week is, I wanted to do an episode on recruiters because some really value recruiters and what we can do. And I want to give you some insight on how recruiters work and how to get the best out of us. I mean, this week, I think I've talked about it in my presentation shortly. I've known a guy for about 8 years, and I've just placed him first time. So in 8 years, it took, like, I obviously don't have a role for everyone, but I've known this guy for 8 years, kept in touch, got a good relationship with him, took on a role. And the way recruiters work as well is like, who'd be good for it? You start thinking of people, and this guy's name just popped up, and I was like, yeah, he'd be great for it. And we obviously got him involved, and hopefully he'll be getting an offer today. Yeah, look, yeah, recruiters, it is. I put a video out this morning, and it is divided. Some people love recruiters, some people absolutely hate them. And I think with any industry, there's good people and there's bad people. And recruitment, it is one of those industries. There is some really terrible recruiters. Like every week we hear of some terrible recruitment story. And look, if you're ever involved with people like that, just don't deal with them. I mean, you get a sense when you first have that initial call with the recruiter whether they've got your best interest at heart or not. I mean, I've worked for bigger companies, and you're very much treated like a number. They're not really bothered if it's in your best interest or not. But what I would recommend, and I don't think really touched on the presentation, is just the boutique agencies, the smaller players, the guys and ladies who've been around for years. They know how recruitment works. They'll have your best interest at heart and will tell you the truth. So if you're going to register with companies, aim for the smaller, more boutique players. So look, yeah, if you have any questions, put them in the comments and I will jump into it. And yeah, I've got some questions already sent to me regarding this episode, so I will cover them as we go, or maybe at the end. And like I said, look, any question, just put them up in the comments and I will get to them. So yeah, this week, most candidates hate recruiters. I'm a recruiter, and today we're going to remedy that. I'm going to tell you exactly why and how to fix it from your side. And I'll give you some stories along the way, because working in recruitment, we hear so many different things. Even yesterday I had a lady call me, and she said, she didn't even introduce herself. She went, "Hi, have you got any jobs?" Is what this person said to me. And I said, "Well, what jobs are you looking for?" kind of thing. And she just wasn't really relevant to what my business recruits for. But that was her opening line. And obviously, she was fairly junior in terms of dealing with recruiters, but it's all about relationships. And I'll jump into this and tell you how to get the best out of recruiters. Again, the numbers people, I've touched on this before. We've talked about your CV, your LinkedIn, your strategy, your CFOs, and the recruiter relationship is probably one of the most undervalued career assets you'll ever have. I've been in recruitment for 23 years now, and I genuinely still get a kick out of meeting someone or having relationships with someone and placing them in a good job. Sometimes it's a career defining role for them. And it honestly still gives me a kick. Any recruiter would have that sensation. It's not just about the money or the billings. It's about building relationships, placing people in good roles, and just forging those relationships for years to come. I myself have placed people in financial accounting roles who are now CFOs of companies and seen their careers all the way through. And it's good. And that's what the relationships you've got to have with recruiters if you can. And now I'm going to prove it, how recruiters can add a lot of value to you. So how to work with recruiters from me, who's going to tell you the truth, and 3 reasons it's not working. 10 truths most of my peers won't say out loud. If you've ever been ghosted, misrepresented, or just felt like a name on the list, this episode's certainly going to be for you. So what I'm seeing on the ground, 5 to 7 recruiters, I reckon. I don't have the stats for this. I can't give you factual evidence, but in any city, whether you're in Brisbane, Melbourne, Perth, Sydney, there's going to be 5 to 7 recruiters that are recruiting the majority of the senior finance roles in your city. It is interesting in terms of recruiters. There is a lot of recruiters out there. There's more recruiters, it seems like, opening up this year in a tougher market. Tough market to open up a recruitment business, but there seem to be more and more. So who do you register with? I'll go into that later on in the presentation. But there's a lot of noise out there, and it's interesting as a candidate fresh to the market. Who do you choose? Who are the good ones? It's hard to judge them. 200 names on a list. The average recruiter, we speak to a lot of people, right? So I myself, I just checked before, I've got 225 active candidates that I'm working with. And you go through the list. You don't forget people, but you work on a different project, a different assignment, and then that person, the name does go down the list of it. It's not like you forget them, but they're not front of mind. And I put you're somewhere around 120, 175, unless they actually know you. And I'll touch on actually knowing you, how to build relationships as we go. And this is the candidate I mentioned before. So I'm going to place a candidate. I've put here, place this week. We've got an offer for him today. It's been 8 years I've known this guy for, and we've never had a role for him, never presented anything. And this role came up, and it was the stars align and everything, and it was perfect for this guy. And as a recruiter, I had this moment, like, I was thinking, who's going to be good for this? And it was like, this guy. We went through a thorough process, and this guy was still the one. And that to us sometimes is how it works. And again, the candidate I've placed, we've not had anything for him, but we've had a good relationship. We chat fairly regularly, and we've got that relationship, and he's remained front of mind all those years. So what candidates tell me about my industry? And look, there's some damning things about recruiters, and this is just a few, probably the most common ones. You never call me back after 3 rounds, not a text. Ghosting, it seems to be the baseline. It's not okay. Ghosting, there's no excuse for ghosting. I think it's a real cop-out if people think ghosting is correct behavior kind of thing. But look, my business prides ourselves on not ghosting. We just never do it. I don't know whether that's an age thing. People, if you know me, I'm fairly old school. Treat people like you want to be treated yourself. And the hard thing with recruiters, the hardest thing we have to do in our job is give feedback that isn't positive, or they didn't get the job. It's heartbreaking. Some people have invested a lot of time and effort, perform really well in an interview, and still didn't get it. But it's up to me to tell them that. Like, I can't just not tell them. And it's a horrible call I have to make. It's part of my job. And those who don't make that call, you're not doing your job right. And it pulls down the industry. But she submitted my CV without asking me to a client I didn't want. And that does happen a lot. I've seen it time and time again. I heard this was about a year and a half ago, one of the bigger agencies, and I heard this on Good. I'm not going to tell you who it was, just sent this person's CV. Not like my business, we get there. If you're a candidate, we agree to send a profile of you. We don't mention your name, your company, and we send like a couple of paragraphs about why you're good and try and get it out more to more people than just 1 or 2 kind of thing. But this candidate had a CV sent out to hundreds of people, and she didn't even know about it. And companies like that, I'd like to call them out. It was one of the bigger ones. You can figure it out. Behavior like that still happens. It's terrible. He kept pushing roles that were 80% wrong. I keep on hearing this all the time. If a recruiter is trying to push you into a role, just walk away from them. They don't have your best interests at heart. I don't get it, because as a recruiter, if I pushed you into a role, the chance of you falling out is really high, and you just leave. It's bad for my relationship with the client. It's bad for my reputation. It's not good for you. So why do it? But again, in the recruitment industry, you do hear it quite common. And this one here, she told me I wasn't right, and I got it through someone else, whether that be directly or another agency. I've heard that quite a lot. In recruitment, you do get very, very, very judgmental. A client could say they want this, but I guess with experience, you just know what's right, what is right, albeit it doesn't necessarily look right on the first pass. But yeah, some people I'll write you off in 15 minutes. It's probably shorter than that, but that is a lot. Then that's a quick snapshot what people are telling me. There's probably about 25 examples I can give you. And I've put here the one line: you don't get hired through a recruiter, you get hired because of one. So what does that mean? Like the example I gave you with the guy I'm placing today. Senior recruitment, it's a hidden job market. At the senior level, we don't advertise a lot of roles. And the reason for that, and being completely transparent, is we get hammered. If I advertise a CFO role today, I would get 300 applications. And those people are good people. I know a lot of people, and I spend my entire day just fielding those phone calls, and they're not necessarily the profile that the client is looking for. And when I'm speaking to senior candidates, it's not just a 30-second phone call, it's 10, 15 minutes. And I'd spend my day speaking to candidates of profiles that the client doesn't want. So it is a very hidden job market. It's tough because you're like, well, how do I know about them? I mentioned about the 5-7 recruiters recruiting your city, so I'll touch on that later on as well. But yeah, it's you can get hired one, and building relationships with recruiters is key to this. So 3 reasons it's not working for you. You can't spot a good one from a bad one. Like I hear of these stories, like these horrible stories where you apply for a job, or the recruiter calls you and gets you excited. You then excited about an opportunity, and the recruiter ghosts you. I mean, it is a sense to a gut feeling where they have the best interest at heart. If you keep on reaching out to a recruiter and they're ignoring you, put a line through the name. Just they're not suddenly going to be like, oh yeah, he's great, she's great. It just doesn't work like that. They don't have your best interest at heart. Just scratch it out. I mean, I know that sounds harsh because they might be recruiting the role, but look, if they're ignoring you, just get rid of it. Get rid of them. And I've put here, most candidates treat all recruiters the same, and they're not. Honestly, they're not. I've worked for big companies and smaller companies. Like I touched on before, the smaller, they call boutique agencies like mine, agencies up to maybe say 30, 40 people, tend to have more experienced recruiters who get it, who understand, and would take your call. And look, you might not be right for that particular role you've applied for because of whatever reason, but look, you could be good for something else, and that recruiter should be able to have that conversation with you. If they cut you off, you know if you're getting treated like a number. So there, yeah, I've put here the gap between a great one and a mediocre one is your entire career trajectory. And look, after this, I can put some recommendations. If you're in the senior finance space, I'll put some recommendations in the comments, because there are some really good recruiters out there. You don't understand what you actually do, and what I mean by this, it's you're being generic. You're applying to every single role, whether it be a CFO gig, an FP&A manager, an analyst role. We've had people apply with 140k roles and 400k roles. Well, not 400k roles. I should say 200k roles. So there's a bit of a gap. It's like, well, why are you applying for a head of finance role when you're applying for a 140k analyst role? What are you, an analyst or a head of finance kind of thing? So we see that. I get people are desperate, but you know what? Pick up the phone and be clear on what you want. I think with anything, you can't just blanket spread the market hoping something sticks. It just doesn't work like that. And what you'll find, you suddenly get a reputation. It's like, oh, this person just wants anything. They're just desperate. And again, as a recruiter, like, well, I know they're desperate, but we've still got to get the right role. So you could have that perception of just being desperate. And I put here, you treat it like a vending machine, CVs in, jobs out. The transactional mindset is exactly why the relationship never develops into anything useful. And we do hear that a lot in recruitment. what have you got, what jobs you got. And it's not about that, it's making sure it's the right one for you. So you can spot a good one. The signals are really obvious once you know. So the bad ones, and yeah, I'm sure if you've spoken to recruiters before, you can tell they're very transactional in the way they speak to you. They ask for your CV straight away. They don't really tell themselves about you. They talk roles, never about careers. They're never really asking where you want to be, and they disappear after the submission kind of thing. So it's and I've seen as well, I've put your spam DMs with no client name. I find it fascinating that candidates are not told who the client is. Like if that's the case, we have recruited CFO opportunities where it's a confidential search, is someone in the role, and what we do, we get them to sign an NDA, a non-disclosure agreement. The candidate signs that agreement, and then we tell them who the company is. So it's a confidential search. But the amount of candidates who tell me who, or they're not going to tell me who it is, the client, and then they're sending your CV to a client who you don't know who it is, that's crazy. Never get yourself in that situation. And look, that's what NDA, non-disclosure documents are for. So if recruiters are like that, just be very cagey of it. And I think fundamentally, and I touched on it before, is that gut feeling you have. Does this person have my best interest at heart? You can just tell through the conversation if they actually want to build a relationship with you or not. So the good ones, they know your market deeply. They ask about your career. Will tell you when you're not right, and they'll stay in touch with you, even if there's no role going on. They'll actually care. I mean, that's the thing. Excuse me. When I am dealing with candidates, I might not have a job for you now, but I know where you sit, and that opportunity will come. I mean, especially at the moment where the market's a bit quieter, it is. There's not as many roles, so the conversations are fewer and further between. But that's not to say that we don't have you top of mind in the mix for opportunities. It's just quieter at the moment. So the good ones certainly know your market deeply, and you can ask them as well. Ask them what clients they've worked with and in the backgrounds, and if they're a bit cagey about it, yeah, put some emphasis on that. Reason 2, you don't know what we actually do. I had a comment on I commented on a LinkedIn post, and a guy replied to my comment saying, "You're in HR." Recruiters have got nothing to do with HR. HR are our nemesis to a certain extent. I've got friends in HR. HR people, some of them are excellent and definitely worth the weight in gold, and some of them are just paper pushers, right? Everyone has a view on HR. Most of it is negative. But yeah, if I meet someone, say at a barbecue for the first time, I mention in recruitment, and like, is that HR? And it's like, no, HR people don't like the recruitment side, which is, yeah, a fact. I don't know any of my HR friends who love the recruitment side. They just don't. My opinion on it, and this is my honest opinion, before the GFC, the global financial crisis, I had one client who had HR involved in their recruitment process. I was just dealing with the hiring managers directly. After the global financial crisis, there was less to do. HR had to justify themselves. I'm really digging a hole for myself here. They had to justify themselves, and they started getting involved in recruitment. And from 2008, 2009, a lot of processes, HR got involved, got the sticky beak in there, got the fingers in the pie, and started taking the control of recruitment. They didn't like it, but they had to justify their existence. And to my friends in HR, hopefully you laugh at that, but it is the truth, and we know it is. And I know that because they don't like doing recruitment; they just have to do it now. But yeah, you don't know what we actually do. And that's the thing. Recruiters, I'll go through these quickly because I'm just conscious of time. Recruiters have lists of jobs. We don't have a catalog of jobs like, oh, hey, James, here's a list of jobs. Tell me what you want. It doesn't work like that. We have specific briefs from specific clients. They come out to us. We want this kind of profile. We want this. And that's our job, to find them that profile, what they believe is going to be the best fit for them. So it's not like, yeah, just send me some jobs. A quick example I can give you, in our business on our website, you can register for job alerts. And this is an incident I've just had recently. You could subscribe, so you put your details in there, and then when we list a job, you get emailed that job. It's job alerts. Like, it doesn't mean the job's going to be right for you. It could be anything from the most junior role we do to the most senior. And we have one particular candidate who applies to every single job. And I called this candidate and I said, look, I don't understand why you're applying for every job. And she goes, you keep on emailing me jobs. And I was explaining that, well, no, like, you've subscribed to our job alerts, you could subscribe anytime. And then she called me an idiot and then hung up. So that's what she thought. I was sending her jobs every time we register a job, and that should be good for it. So again, it's knowing what we do. Recruiters work for the candidate. We get paid by the client, but our reputation, it is built on both sides. Clients are candidates and candidates are clients, and we want to do the best by both sides. But look, the clients pay us money. I think it's illegal in Australia for the candidates to pay us money. So even if you wanted me to pay me money and represent you to clients and companies, I can't take your money, which is interesting, but ethically the right thing to do, because there's no guarantees I'll be able to get you something anyway. And I put here, the best recruiters know that a bad placement damages everyone, and they act accordingly. It's not in my interest. And over the last couple of years, we have dropped so many clients and contacts and companies because we know it's a bad place to work. If I didn't have ethics and integrity, I could be a lot richer than what I am, but I do. And we've dropped numerous clients over the last couple of years. And it comes back to, like, well, where are the good clients who are going to treat people well? But I could take on a lot more work, but I've got strong ethics and integrity. And if I knew you'd be good for this job, I knew you'd hate it there, there's no point, because you'd leave, it'd reflect badly on me. It's not good for your career, kind of thing. So we stay away from it. So look, I mean, it's, look, the best recruiters have your interest in that. We want to genuinely make sure that you succeed there and your career goes on and upwards. And the good jobs are on the job boards. Like I said before, it's very much a hidden job market at that, say, 250 level upwards. And if you're only applying to what you can see, you're already behind. And that's why you just got to keep in touch with recruiters, which I'll touch on a bit sooner. And this, you treat us like a vending machine. Like I touched on before, it's transactional, and transactions don't advocate for you at 7 a.m. on a Tuesday. So the wrong way, what roles have you got? You're applying behind their back. You're not being honest. The most frustrating thing in recruitment is when you are working with a client. Sometimes it's on a contingent basis, which means they don't pay us up front because they've tried to do it themselves or are advertising themselves directly alongside us. And we say to you, have you applied to that company before? And they say, no, I haven't. I'd love for you to represent me. We go through the role, we interview them, we present them, or they applied 2 weeks ago. It's so frustrating, and we just put a big black mark against your name when you do that to us. And that's certainly the wrong way. And we've had it as well, the wrong way vanish after the placement. I placed a lady, this was about maybe 10 years ago. It was in a really nice business. Fantastic people. I headhunted her for the role. I've known this lady for a couple of years. I placed her in to the role, and a week before we check in, before they start, to make sure everything's all right, she didn't pick up my call, and I was getting a bit nervous, but I knew she was speaking to them directly. On the day she started, she didn't accept my call. I texted her, she ignored me, and she's ignored me since. I spoke to the client, they love her, she's done it, and then she's just got no interest at all in having a relationship with me, which is interesting to say. I called her, she didn't know about the job, and I got a good opportunity, and she was loving it. But that's definitely the wrong way to do it, because I'll think twice about giving her a call next time, right? And the right way is to really just be transparent about salary, timing, fit. Here's where I want to be in 2 years. Like, we genuinely want to make sure that the role is right for you. And if there's an opportunity and it's not where you want to be, then we have that frank discussion. So it's about building that relationship and making sure we're on the same page. I've put here the right way. You refer good candidates to them. Like, we've had that where I've got a good relationship with you and they refer a friend or an ex-colleague or something. It is about building that relationship. It's give and take, right? There's too many candidates out there, or people, should I say contacts, who would just take. And the best example of that, I'm going to touch on it later, but I'll touch on it now, is people I've reached out for years in terms of business development, working with them to recruit for them. I had a lady, maybe over a decade, I've tried to reach out to her. She's been made redundant recently, and guess what? She calls me. She speaks to me like I'm her best friend. I'm never going to work with that lady because I know she deals with other agencies. If I place her in a business, that relationship with that business is gone. But the way she spoke to me, she ignored every single one of my correspondence, whether it be emails, texts, voicemails, completely blanked me. And now she needs me. And that's a great example of take. So be mindful of that. Like and a good tip for you, say you're in a recruiting position and you've got a good couple of recruiter relationships, just tell that to recruiters. So say, for example, I give you a call and I want to recruit for your business. Oh, thanks for the call, Rich, but look, I'll deal with XYZ and ABC agencies. Look, if you slip up, I'll reach out to you, kind of thing. And we respect that. We really do. And that's the way to do it. And then guess what? If I have a job for you, I'm still going to be more open to working with you. So build the trusted recruiter relationship and treat it like, I put here 5 year again, because it is like, I've been in the city market, the Australian market for 20 years. And I know a lot of people. And you've just got to treat it like a multi-year relationship, because it really is. So identify the 4 or 5 recruiters in your space. And